Alright, so what are we doing today? Welcome to another Vintage to Sewing Time where we reap what we sow. Today I'm giving a quick update on what is going on with these chicks. For those who did not see the first video, broiler layer, my second attempt, I'm going to put the link in the description so that you can see that and understand where I am today in terms of getting these layers and taking care of them. So since then, many things have happened that I want to bring you abreast of, and the main reason for that is basically to emphasize how important it is that when you're going to get your chicks that you really be prepared. It's like being pregnant and at 6 or 7 months you are starting to pack your bag and getting your things ready so that at any moment you can rush to the hospital. It is that critical. It is really that serious when you're having these chicks, because at any moment things can change and you have to be prepared for them. Sometimes you have to get into damage control mode, which is what I had to get in after a few things happened since the last time I spoke with you. Well, you remember I said that I lost about 23 of them in one night because of cold weather. 4 died before the 23, so I was up to 27 deaths and having about 53 live chicks. Since then, I have lost, I believe, an additional between 10 to 15. I have not really counted, but between 10 to 15, maybe not quite 15, but I believe at least 9 to 10 of them that I have lost again. Why? Because when I initially got the chicks, I did not have the right feed for them. I did not get on to my my supplier because they basically came a day earlier than they should have. So when I got the call that they were on their way, I rushed to the supermarket, and the only thing that they had at the time was the grower. Well, anybody who knows about chick knows that that is not the right feed for baby chicks. You're supposed to get them on your starter first based on the quantity of protein that they would need at that time. I fed them the grower for about 4 days, and then I noticed that something was wrong, so I quickly went and got the starter and vitamin, thinking that the vitamin would have helped repair, but the vitamin just compounded the issue, because the vitamin should not be taken with a high protein diet, and they were already on a high protein diet, but I didn't know that at that particular time. Now I know better. So I fed them the vitamins, and the days after I noticed that they were all rounded around the stomach, and their bum and their bottom were very round, they were big, and they looked bloated, and one died, and then the others had labored breathing, so something was drastically wrong. One night when I came down to the pen to look at them, I noticed that all of them were in this labored breathing, and I mean, it was very scary just to see them, and their bum purple and rounded. I got onto the internet at that time. I did not go on YouTube, because by then I realized that I had never seen any condition like that on YouTube. All that you were seeing was the glorified, getting the chicks and they're growing and everything looks good up to processing. So I went to the search engine and I typed in bloated, and when I did that, information came up called it water belly, and so I deleted it, and so I realized I was dealing with something really, really, really serious. Mortality rate is very high, and I could see what was going on with my chicks. I read it was suggesting, different types of medicines, and I was thinking to myself, I have no time for medicine, because I did not have any medicine on hand, because again, second time I'm rearing chicks, and I did not encounter this the first time, so I did not have any medicine on hand. So I, continued to read. I think I actually typed in herb for water belly, and a lot of suggestions came up: brewer's yeast, oregano, cider apple cider vinegar, the dry thyme, and things like that that I knew that I had in my cupboard, and I was happy to see the suggestion because I was thinking all these things I had in my cupboard. So I checked to see if there was any, way that to prepare it. The only one that gave you any instructions reading how to prepare was the apple cider vinegar, which is 1 tablespoon per gallon. The others I had to use my own, mental initiative to try to get them together. So I had half of my container with my feed. Here's my feed, my supply for my chicks. Have the container, and I just sprinkled 2 tablespoons of the brewer's yeast and 1.5 of the thyme in that, and I decided I was going to use this as my benchmark. So when I feel this, I was going to double that dose, and so I started on my damage control mode. The next morning I got up because at this time it's about 3:30 in the morning. When it was light outside, and thankfully I had the fresh oregano, so I just crushed that and put that in a gallon of water, and I started with remedy. Since that, few of them died, about 1 per day, but thankfully there has been great improvement. They have shrunken. I don't know which of the remedy, because based on what I saw on YouTube, it was a condition that was irreversible. But I am here to report today that whether it's a combination of the brewer's yeast and the oregano and the thyme and the apple cider vinegar, because I was giving them all at the same time. The apple cider vinegar and the oregano in the water, and the brewer's yeast and the thyme in the feed, and they just continue to shrink and shrink and shrink, and today they're looking so much better. I think from yesterday I gained hope that they are going to be fine, because from yesterday they started to look like real, refreshed, and the breathing slowed down tremendously, and now they are breathing, I will say, what seems to be normal. So I am happy that things are going well. So I would advise anyone who is going to do this to make sure that things are done in the right progression. The vitamin should be administered from 0 to 5 days. So you can see that I was way off. I started to give my vitamin at day 5, actually 4 or 5 days. When I should have stopped the vitamin is when I started to give the vitamins. So I mean, everything was almost in the reverse. So I am thankful that I have been able to salvage, and it seems as if they're going to be okay from here on. I'll just keep eyeing them. Another thing that I have done is that I have stopped the light in the night. The heating lamps, I have decided to take those off at night so that they can get to rest. Because for the last, I would say 13 days, because it's two nights now since I've stopped the lights. About 13 nights now, I would say, at least 12 nights now, they've been sleeping with the lights. And when the lights are on, they're not getting their rest. They're up eating all night, drinking all night. It probably was good that they were able to, do that, because they were getting the feed in and the fresh water, with the medicine in, and that might have worked, but also they need their rest to recuperate. So what I've done for the last 2 nights is that I've taken off the lights at about 6 in the evening when it's starting to darken, and I put on a regular hair dryer, which is very hot, at a certain distance, just to keep them warm. I also have my thermometer to monitor the temperature in there. So they slept the first night real snugly. That first night I basically was on baby watch. I was basically in here, looking over them with a dim light, seeing that they were resting, and until morning. And then when morning came, I turned back on the heat lamps and turned off the dryer, because the dryer is really so that they can have heat in the night but not the light. So in the day there's no need for the dryer. The heating lamp does the work in the day. I did the same thing last night, and this morning they were even more energized, flapping their wings and flying about, to get their morning exercise. So I am happy with the results, and I just want again to reiterate to anyone who's going to do this to make sure that you're prepared. Some of the things that you need to have on hand would be your vitamins. Make sure you have your vitamins on hand to start them from day 0 until 5 days. Make sure that you have a syringe, because I needed a syringe for this condition to draw the water out. I only got the syringe yesterday and I was able to draw out of one of them because the others had already been remedied naturally from the feed and whatever else they were taking in. As I said, they're shrunken down tremendously back to the point of being normal. But that one was still, bloated and rumbled, so I was able to get a lot of the liquid out, a lot of the water out of that particular one. So have a syringe on hand, have your vitamins, have your feed, just have all that you know that you're going to need. Another thing that I had to do with my case is that I had to take out all of my hay because of their condition. Their poop was very watery, so that had the hay very wet and smelly, musky. That to me, I would say, was an added hazard because the breathing, that I believe affected the breathing even more. So I had to take out all of the hay. I also had a shaven wood, and I had to also take that out of the nest because it was too heavy, it was too wet and smelly. So what I've done, taken out all of that, and I just place a sifting wire, regular sifting wire for when you're sifting sand, in the bottom of the wood, just for the sake of traction. Because plywood is such a, when it is wet, it is very slippery. So I know that that would have been hazardous to them walking on that and developing, some foot abnormalities. So that's the reason for the sifting wire, so that they will have some traction when they're walking. And so far, everything has been going really well. Hope again and again, just so that someone can gain some knowledge about my situation and see how that can help you. I'm also happy that I was able to get off YouTube some instructions in terms of, drawing the water out once I knew what I was looking for. But water belly is not something that you would just go and find on YouTube. Naturally, you have to type that in specifically. If you just type in rain, broilers or chicks or whatever, you would never find water belly, because it's a condition that many YouTubers believe that would not be monetized because it is like a surgery. So because of that, I believe a lot of them are not led to do that on their channel. But for the ones who did, I am so grateful that you did, because you helped me with my condition. And if I can help someone else not even have the condition, I am happy. I'm more than happy to do that. So I'm going to take you just a little bit closer so you can see what is going on with them, and you can see that they are healthy and that they are running about, they're drinking their water, and they're doing really well. Some of them are still, under the lamp. You can see the breathing is very normal. Very, 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 very normal. And just again to give you an idea of the vitamin that I was using, is Stress Mix WS. This is my time, just regular time from the store. And that's the reason why you can use this in the feed, because you can just sprinkle it in the feed. And for my measurement, I'm telling you what I did, is this is a regular ice cream bowl, this size, and I use 3 of this to a full container. So 3 tablespoons of this to a full container. And for the regular brozzies, this is regular brozzies, which we are all familiar with. Nothing different than your regular yeast that you use for baking. And this is the instant yeast. I used 4 tablespoons of that in a full container. That's my measurement. I don't know if it's too little or too less, but it has worked, so I would stick with that. Also have your gloves, in case you have to do any water belly surgery, and your syringes, at least one that you can use until if you desire to buy more, but have at least one on hand. So these are the basic things that I would say that anyone who is going to rear chicks should have in case there is any emergencies. And heating lamps. When I reared chicks the first time, it was around May, so it was already warm. So the lamps that I had at that time was not like the high level or the intense ones, and that was fine for that time. They were regular house bulbs and they worked perfectly because again it was already warm. But now in January, so based on what time of year, you're going to need a different level of intensity. If you can have those heating mats or those heating stands, I believe that those are even better because you do not have to deal with the lights and having the chicks up all night. But if you're not in a place where you have those and the only thing that you have access to would be heating lamps, make sure that around this time, January, that you have at least 125 watts, and then you can lower or raise that based on the temperature at at the particular time. Regular hair dryer is also perfect if you don't have one of those heating mats and you want to use or heating stand and you want to use something without the light. The hair dryer worked perfectly. It had the room warm and cozy and nice. And make sure you also have a thermometer with a monitor outside of the room so that you can know what is the temperature in the brooding area. All right, from my office / prayer room / burning site, bye for now. Thank you so much for joining me. Until my next video.